Welcome everyone back to another Dragon Ball Super card game video. My name is D Free. Here today we're going to go ahead and take a look at one of the more underappreciated leaders in the game and just kind of go from there and see what we can do for him. Now, we might do some of these a little bit more commonly, so I hope you guys enjoy. Hit subscribe if you're new for more content here on the channel. Otherwise, if you guys want to join my Discord, link is down below in the description. We have a Dragon Ball Super card game section alongside other different sections for all the different games I play among my various channels, so I do hope that you guys enjoy. Nonetheless, let's go ahead and talk about the deck and why I chose it the way it is. And the sideboard isn't really relevant, but it's just more or less options. Of course, sideboards, you guys need to make sure that you build your side decks based on like your matchups. If you're playing locally, your meta for your local teams, like or your local players, like maybe they play a lot of like Victory Strike, maybe they don't have that, whatever the case is, but more or less just options. It's irrelevant. We're mainly going to focus on the main deck here. Now, the way that I wanted to do this is I wanted to focus on a leader that I felt like isn't like crazy old. Like this Goku is like what, 4 months old, something like that. Not like crazy old. Never really got his chance to shine and things like that. And of course, I felt like this guy was relevant because of the fact that people were buying his starter deck literally to rip it apart for his exclusive cards, Chain Attack Trunks and Unbreakable Son Goku, most notably, right? A little bit in there is for the Rushing Warrior Pan, but most notably those two cards. Now, of course, as we get more red cards, more red GT cards, things of that nature, he obviously does pick up more support. Now, let's go ahead and jump into it. So, the way that this breaks down is our leader, Son Goku. Of course, when he flips, front side is very generic, that natural generic front side that a lot of leaders have these days. When he swings, he draws a card, and then when he flips, he untaps 2 energy. So, the permanent on the flip side is during your turn, when your life is at 3 or less, this card gains 5,000 power. So, when you've been rushed down to 3 or less, or whether you've put yourself there, whatever the case is, and you are low on life, the Goku is able to pressure. That type of ability is very good in this game because of the fact that it forces the opponent to have to combo a little bit more. Of course, you're able to put a little bit more pressure on the opponent. Now, being at 20 is very important for the next ability. When he attacks, he draws a card, and if his power is at 25,000 or more, he gains double strike for the rest of the turn. So, the way that breaks down for this guy is he really just needs one 5k pump and he's good to go. Now, it's unfortunate that, of course, this is an auto. It would trigger before you would combo into something like a Senzu Bean or whatever, and there's not a way to restand this leader, so he's kind of stuck if you don't hit him 25. But there are different avenues in the deck that you can do to get him there, right? Including Senzu Bean, because, for example, we'll talk about that, but there's a way to get him to 25, and if you're below 3 lives, you're able to get that relatively easily. So let's transition back over to the deck. So our 1-drops, we have Intensifying Power Trunks. Now this card is one of 2 things it does. So its primary function is to be a pressure card and also be a self-awaken type card. So we have that in the deck so you can get to where you need to be ASAP. So other than that, his secondary function is to be an evolved target for the Chain Attack Trunks down here. We have 3 of those. Now, I only chose 3 because I didn't want to see him every single turn. Like, sometimes you can see him a little too much and stuff like that. So we'll come back to that. But when you get the Chain Attack Trunks, your primary target is the Determined Super Saiyan Son Goku or Fearless Pan. Those are the primary targets that we have. So, of course, Intensifying Power Trunks, so one of the better 1-drop cards in the game. Unfortunately, does get shut down by that BCC Goku that just came out that says your opponent can't attack with 1-drops. Otherwise, still very powerful to be evolved target for 2 energy into Chain Attack Trunks. Our next one is Pint-Sized Son Goku. Now, this one was initially at 4, but I had to cut a couple of cards to make room for the Scientist Foos, and I kind of felt like with the way that the ratios were for this deck, there's a lot of targets. For example, when you play him for 1, you look at the top 7 and pull a GT Goku. Well, that could be another Pint Size. That could be one of the 4 3-drop Determined Super Saiyan Gokus. That could be one of the 4 Unbreakables. That could be one of the 3, you know, Victorious Fist. That could be one of the 3 Triple Flashes, who is our win con. So, like, it's kind of easy to get to what you need. That's kind of what I was going for. And the deck does draw a decent amount, too, so it shouldn't be too hard to get to what you're going for. So I kind of felt like playing that 4th would have been a little cloggy. So, of course, that ratio could be flipped a little bit. Maybe you take a different card out. Maybe you take one of the Triple Flashes or Victorious Fists out for a 4th one if you need a little bit more consistency, I guess. But for me, I felt like that was good enough. Now, of course, because another reason why I dropped him to 4, or 3, excuse me, from 4, is because we're playing 4 Rushing Warrior Pan. Now, Rushing Warrior Pan is, if you're focused on the leader, right? She is pretty much the best card that you can play when your life is at 3 or less to force a double strike on your leader. Because what happens is, At 3 or less, the Goku automatically is 20. Then you drop the Pan for 1 energy. She gives the Goku a 5k pump. So he's already 25 before he swings, and that means he'd be double strike. And then from there, you can combo the Pan out for another 5k pump and also draw a card. She has a lot of utility. You know, another very similar card to her would be Bulma, who has a little bit more staying power, you know, because she can stay on the board, keep doing it continually, and whatever the case is. Although one would argue that Bulma's an instant target when you play her because she's probably going to get swung at. But I felt like Pan's versatility, and also Bulma can't be applied to the leader. Pan was a little bit more versatile. Now, moving on from that, we have the sideline assist Bulma. Now, the reason why I chose this super combo is, of course, there are the old ones, the Giru and the Vados. I don't feel like there's any reason to play any other super combo than the new ones, of course. Now, the difference is with the new ones is that they automatically have the 10k, and then what happens is they draw the extra card whenever they hit the certain threshold. So the new one, that would be Roshi would say when you're at Sparking 5, meaning you can turn that on as early as like turn 1 or 2, whatever the case is in certain decks. But this one's when you hit to 4 or less life, you get to draw that card. So it's just an upgraded version of the older ones at best, because you always have the 10k pump. It's not dead early. So if you need to, if you're getting rushed down, you need to play it, you can play it. The way I felt about this card versus the Roshi was, I'm like, yo, I kind of want that secondary win condition, which would be Scientist Fu or like First Seeing Hit, technically, right? But mainly Scientist Fu. I wanted to find a way to play Overwhelm because the game's kind of moved away from Overwhelm with the newer decks and the way that they play, the Wish Leaders and stuff. I wanted to find a way to put a very cheap 1-drop, right, Scientist Fu card in the deck, still one of the best Overwhelms possible, and I didn't want to have that be an issue. So the way that it is when we hit 4 or less, our super combo's live per normal, so I chose that one. Now, combination attack Pan. She is a really good target to play alongside something like the Triple Flash. That's primarily our target. So how she works is when we get to 25k Trunks. So like if you chain attack Trunks into Fearless Pan, combination attack Pan is always live, right? So that's one of the things that you can do. Another way that you can play her is you have to find a way to get your cards to 25. So if you play a chain attack into something else, and you drop a Rushing Warrior and give it the chain attack, whatever the case is, he's 25, combination attack Pan is live, etc., etc. Like there are different avenues you can go down. Also some combinations that come down to the Senzu Bean and stuff like that. Like there are different ways that you can buff that Trunks up to where combination attack Pan is live, or even a Goku, right? Different things. So nonetheless, though, ideally how combination attack works is when you have your win condition on board, which is the Super Saiyan 3 or 4 Goku primarily, you just drop her anyway. Screw chain attack Trunks, right? You just drop her and you give it to the Goku so Triple Flash can't be negated. That's our win condition. 4 of them, because at least you want 2 of them in your hand at any given moment to get Triple Flash from 30 to 40, depending on how you had to play them, right? Maybe you didn't get a chance to swing here because maybe they were going to Nimbus you or whatever, and you didn't want to waste the attack. Whatever, right? Situationally, at bare minimum, you're doing that. And also, you only really need 1, but you want to see it when you want to see it. So that's just how it is. So I chose 4. She could go down to 3 if you wanted to add in another card, like another hit. I wouldn't blame you for that. So that's what I want to do. So anyways, moving on, we have Determined Super Saiyan Son Goku. Now, when your life is at 4 or less, he becomes a 5-drop, turning on your Victorious Fist. So that is what you need to know. So ideally, like I said, you're either hard casting this guy on turn 3, or you are playing him as a result of Chain Attack Trunks. Ideally, you want to play him as a result of Chain Attack Trunks because you get the 2-for-1 value, but stranger things have happened. So if you're in a position where you need to play him, go for it, but really he turns on everything else. So it could be 3, it could be turn 4, however you need to play him, you just play him and you're good to go. Be aware, though, that that has amazing synergy with your leader, because from the rest there, when you drop him, you only need 2 more red energy. You need 1 for this guy and 1 for this guy to go directly from him into your win con. This is a standard GT engine. You guys know that. So moving on, again, 5-drop, he turns on your win condition. You need this card. You need to see it as early as you can play him, which could be as early as turn 2, depending on if you're going to go ahead and chain attack. So anyways, moving on, Fearless Pan, barrier blocker. Also gives every other red card double strike and 5k. There are going to be some weird scenarios where you drop this card and maybe you have this guy on board or this guy on board, your critical swingers, and you need to crit double strike, you know, to maybe go for game. There are going to be some scenarios like that. Also, there are going to be scenarios where you drop her. You also transition into dropping Rushing Warrior Pans and things like that, and you just get a super pumped up 3-drop Goku, which leads into being able to drop the combination attack Pan free and then buffing up your Goku, and you can go for like win conditions as with just this guy. So like there are different things that you can do here, and it just depends on the playstyle, the situation you're in. Not that I would recommend those methods, right? But it just depends. So anyways, moving on. My opinion, the best battle card in the game, aside from like a couple of them like Victory Strike, this card has too much value. Really, I wanted him to be up to 4, which is why there are a couple in the sideboard, or at least 3. I'm going to try to find room for one more. Maybe that combination of Attack Pan does come out to 3, just to make it a little bit more consistent. But hit, when you drop this guy, you pretty much are trying to go for game, or you're trying to stall what your opponent wants to do. Now, turn 4 is a really good turn to play this card because a lot of decks explode on turn 5, barring like massive ramping, like Whis, objections, things like that. They explode on turn 5. So if you can drop this hit before then, you can really at least stall them for a couple of turns there. So very, very good card, very powerful. Also has that double strike and hits that powerful 20k threshold. So that's how things work out for this guy. Anyways, moving on, we have Unbreakable Goku. Also, like I said, a target for the 1-drop, and he's just a super combo. Hope you draw a little bit more. Nothing else really to say about him. So moving on. Also, I guess, you know, you can get 2 for 1 draw. Like if you were to evolve a Pint-Sized into him for some reason for 3 energy, there you go. So Victorious Fist. So this card is insanely good. Basically dual attack, double strike, plus 5k for the rest of the turn after the first swing. This guy is insane. He's going to be your win condition in different games. There are just going to be games where you need to drop this card and he'll steal you the game. Maybe there are going to be scenarios where, and this is why, this card actually initially was at 4, but I was kind of weary of having too many 10Ks in the hand late game. But there are going to be games where you drop this guy and then drop another one on top of him because it only costs you 1 energy. You have to ditch a card, but it only costs you 1 energy. And then after that, you know, you're plus 10k, and you keep the duration of the turn attack boosts through evolutions, by the way. So that means that you would instantly drop this triple flash on top of this guy, and he'd be at 40k, meaning he can't be negated. So like this deck has the opportunity to explode for some really weird, crazy plays. Also, this guy drawing you 2 cards on his evolve is disgusting, so be aware of that too. So anyways, guys, that is it pretty much. We're gonna go over our last few cards here. Scientist Fu, kind of talked about him. Draws 2 cards, 1 energy, 25k double strike. He's gonna steal you games. Don't really need to talk about him too much. Now the blues. The way that this breaks down is Senzubin is too powerful not to have. Whether it's for offense or defense. We only play the blue negate, the Whis coercion. I didn't want to play the afterimage technique because I wanted to play the Scientist Fu, and it just didn't synergize well. But I do want to give respect to Unending Awakening as well, at being a really, really good card. Like, there's a way to play this deck just mono red and putting in Unendings and then replacing the Senzubins. But I would rather have the blues than not have the blues, just from my playstyle. Like I was saying, there are going to be times where you can use the Senzubin on a card swing, like a Trunks, for example. Untap an energy, then give the 5k pump to whatever card you want. You don't have to give the Trunks that 5k pump. You can give it to the Goku, another Goku, whatever the case is, and force triple strike. Well, triple strike, no negate for triple flash if he's maybe 5k short, whatever the case is. Also, you can force the extra 5k for your Goku. If your life is a 3 or less, he'd be 25 with just 1 Senzubin. Again, he can't do it on his own attack like I mentioned earlier, but if you swing with something else, give him the attack, the bonus from the Senzubin. Then swing with this guy, you could be the double strike. There's a lot of different win cons here, and Senzubin is too good not to have. And at most, when you play these blue packages, you only need to charge 1 blue the whole game. The whole game, you charge 1 blue, because the blue cards just continually cycle with that 1 energy, which is why Whis Coercion is really good. It's unfortunate you can't play Dimension Magic in here. Not that it would really matter too much, but your leader needs to be blue pretty much. And also, we have the Sparking. Like, we're not using Sparking in this deck because we're doing the Overwhelm. So that's pretty much it. Now for the cards on the side, like I said, Fearless Pan, there's a situation where she can go up to 3. If you need another barrier blocker or stuff like that, she's going to turn your whole board into double strikes too, so she's disgustingly good. Also, Hit, I feel like he honestly warrants having a 4 of in the deck. Now, also another thing that I would recommend is if you guys do play Chain Attack, you always have the out of bringing out Zeno. Triple Flash doesn't really like this type of, it's not just Triple Flash, but decks that need pieces and need to evolve and stuff don't really like this card. So it can be counterintuitive, but if you need it to win, you need it to win. So other than that, Objection just helps you get to your turns faster. You can sub out other cards like some of the 1-drops and just put in Objection and be good to go. For example, if you're playing this and you just don't care about the Rushing Warrior Pan, you can completely drop her, add in these, and you're good to go. Also, Haru disgusting card against yellow and green decks, which are actually pretty common. And then, of course, the 2 Scientist Foods can be replaced for Banisher Food just for some removal, because admittedly there is not very much in this deck. So that is it, guys. I hope that you all enjoyed today's deck list video. Leave a thumbs up. Be sure to join the Discord. Link is down below. And I'll catch all of you guys in the next one. Take it easy, everybody.